So last night at the Vigil Mass, we had the children acting out the nativity scene, which is the very definition of cuteness, really. And for many people, that's their experience of Christmas. Christmas is for the kids. It's all about the presents. It's all about little baby Jesus. And yet the readings we've got today hit us on a very different tangent altogether. The gospel we've just heard, it's actually deeply philosophical. You know, we don't have the nativity story on Christmas Day, but rather we've got John trying to explain the deep mystery of who this child is. Now, you probably don't want philosophy at 8 o'clock on Christmas morning, but that's what you're going to get, unfortunately. What John is doing here is he's using the language of Greek philosophy. For the Greeks, they had this idea that what they called the logos, or translated into English as the word. Now, for them, this was like the source of all being, you know, the very essence of knowledge. You know, if you could try to get behind the physical world to the very thing that created that, that's what that idea means. You know, sometimes in the Christian world, we talk about this as being like the very mind of God. And so what John basically tries to explain is the very dawn of creation, that in the beginning was the Word. And the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Everything that came into being through this thought, you know, the very mind of God. If you think of your very self, every cell in your body is held together by the very presence of God. Sometimes we have this idea that the world is here and that God is out there in the universe, and these two things are separate. John's trying to say that this is so deeply interconnected. You know, if you try and think maybe of like the laws of physics, they fill everything, infuse every part of our being. But then John makes this most profound statement that the Word became flesh and dwelt amongst us. The very source of all being took on human form, and we could see his face. Now, this is the profound mystery of Christmas Day. You know, as I said, once you strip away the cute Christmas stories and the little children nativities, we end up with a mystery which is really hard to wrap our heads around. That the God who is the source of everything, transcendent, all-powerful, infinite, has now become the complete opposite. Small, finite, helpless, vulnerable. Now this is seeming like complete madness, really. If there was a reason to not believe in Christianity, it's actually Christ. Because it makes no sense to our little feeble brains. And yet this is the greatness of God's love. The readings we had last night spoke from the prophet Isaiah. And this beautiful line where it simply said, the jealous love of God is about to do this. That God is going to break into the darkness and bring light. But I think that line just sums up the whole story. This burning, passionate love of God. The God who was not distant and cold, some far-off creator, but a God who wanted to be so close and intimate. He wanted to be known. Now, in every generation of humanity, we've seen that people have had this natural yearning for the divine. The fact that every culture has developed religion is because we are seeking to know what is behind this story. Maybe the craziest thing is that in our own age, we've lost that desire. You know, it really is only in the last 200 years that atheism has started to become a common phenomenon. Really because we've become so obsessed with our small little toys, our things, our technologies. We've become so busy playing these small trivial games that we've forgotten how to actually look up and see the grand mystery behind it all. And it's in that place that God tries to break into our existence in a way that we can encounter him. He becomes a child. He wants to reach out with human hands to wrap his arms around us. And for us to realize that he is the one who takes the initiative. I was meaning to try and get a slide up on the screen, but I didn't get a chance. If you ever get a chance, step into the Adoration Chapel here after Mass. There's a beautiful icon of Mary and Jesus. It's a famous Russian icon called Our Lady of Tenderness. And if you look closely at it, Mary is standing there holding the baby Jesus. And she is looking tired and stressed like most mothers are. But if you look at baby Jesus, he is looking intently into her eyes. And he almost has he's almost like got his mother in a headlock. He's like got his arm fully wrapped around her, dragging her close. And I think that becomes this powerful image of Christmas. When the whole of humanity was tired and stressed and distracted by other things, God takes the initiative. And he wraps his arm around us and he draws us close into his gaze so that we could see his love. And so this is how we need to enter into this mystery. The rest of the world has already been celebrating Christmas for the last month and they're sick of it, and then tomorrow they go into shopping mode. Whereas for us, this mystery only just begins. For the next weeks and month almost, we are still in this phase of delving into the mystery, because it's a mystery not of philosophy but of encounter. To delve into this way of how much God has loved us, how greatly he desires to be united with us, and to allow ourselves to be drawn and pulled into that embrace of love.